needs to connect them is, or the thing that gives them substance is a belief. But you have to be, but at the same time, like I say, you have to have respect for the other person's belief, and you have to listen to that person. But let's not get away from the idea that you as a person, you as Moritz, you have to, if you don't stand for something, nobody's going to stand for it. You have to believe in something. It's just a question of how you approach it. So the next problem is what do you believe in, and what does your project believe in? And that's going to be hard, because either it's too broad or too narrow. You're focusing on the European Union, which I think is right. I mean, I think especially today, because a lot of people don't have a clear idea of what the European Union is about. And well, let's put it this way: I think the people on the right, the AfD, and those people, they have a very clear idea what the European Union should look like. I think the people on the left and the supporters of the European Union, they know, they like it, they want it, but they don't have as clear of an idea. And the third thing, and so you need to figure this out. And the last thing I'll say is, and then there comes a question of having this actual conversation. And we as Westerners have to be very, very careful. The problem of coming to Kazakhstan and saying, this is what we believe in, and we think this is right. Well, it sounds a lot like colonialism,
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. But unfortunately, that's how. I mean, as I say, I think that's basically how conversations work. The question is the respect and how to structure this interaction so that all sides feel that so that it is an exchange of information, so that it is an attempt of one side to convince the other, because let's face it, that's what we're trying to do, but to do it in a way that isn't colonialistic, isn't imperialistic, isn't the way that
chauvinistic or
chauvinistic. We think this is right because we think this way. It's an argument. You have to convince the other side, but you convince the other side in a number of ways, and the other side also, and you have to give the other side the opportunity to convince you. And this is something that goes on not only between cultures, it goes on between peoples, it goes on between cultural groups, it goes on beyond. It goes, this happens on all certain levels. But you have to be very, very careful about this. So these are the three problems that I would say, at least to me, immediately address themselves. And I guess the last question is, all right, so what does music have to do with this? Okay, you can say that music has its own argument, but it's not. I would say that ultimately what the if having, and I need to get going pretty soon, we've talked 45 minutes, this is the way I would, after having this conversation, this is how I would answer the question that you asked. How do we inspire people? All right, if you want this to be about the exchange of ideas and information, there's only one way you can do that: words, conversations, facts. This is something that is like, you don't do it by music. Music is feelings, it's ideas, it's images. But what you could say to people is this: what we want is to foster a true conversation where people we want to foster the type of conversation where both sides listen to each other, where we put our prejudice to the side for the moment, and where we actually shut up and listen, both sides, and try to overcome. How am I going to inspire you to do that? Well, we have this thing called music. We want you to spend the next half hour just listening. Shut up. Just listening. We're going to throw a bunch of different types or different styles or a bunch of different modes or whatever. And we want you, there's going to be, I don't know, Stravinsky there, who's not the most, who's not the easiest one. We want you to just shut up and listen. And this will put you in the mood for afterwards, when you walk away from here and you go into the foyer and you have your glass of champagne, or when you go home and you talk to your spouse, or you go to work and you talk to to shut up. Just shut up for a moment, let that other person talk, and actually listen to them. Actually listen to them, and then try to get them to do the same to you. And because it's not the answer to our problems. It's not. This is not going to solve. This is not going to create world peace. But I guarantee you, it's a answer. It is something that it will contribute. So I would say the Silk Road Symphony is the way, is the inspiration, is the music is the inspiration. Practice shutting up and listening for a half an hour. You'd be amazed. And also shutting up, listening, and stop thinking about whatever, stop thinking about the AFD for the moment. Stop thinking about the SPD for the moment. Stop thinking about why you're right and the other person's wrong. Stop thinking, just stop, and listen. And then try to do that in your regular life. So that's what I would say.
One last question, David. I mean, this is it's a tough position. I mean, to go in a conversation and to say, like, shut up and listen. I mean, it's as I've experienced, many orchestras are actually trying to do it this way. I mean, to just to play louder, for example. But if we again turn, like, go on the other side, you as a listener, you as an audience, or being part of an audience, what are the key qualities, for example, in a performance, or when you are listening to music by a composer like Beethoven or some of the composers you love? What is the key quality which makes you wanting to take responsibility for that you are listening, actually, even if nobody is telling you shut up and listen?
Gosh, I don't know. Moritz, I'm gonna have to think about that one. What is the key quality? What makes you, what you're saying is, what makes me want to listen to this piece and not listen to that piece? It's hard. I don't know. I mean, one of the things that helps sometimes is a bit of an explanation. I mean, okay, people need structure, right? People, we don't do very well when, I'm not an anarchist. I don't believe that left to their own designs, people will find the right way. You actually need, and ultimately, if you throw people into a situation, they'll create the structure themselves. What I hear from when I listen to music, obviously, is something completely different from what you listen to music. You have the education. You understand it. I would say one of the things that helps me sometimes, and again, I don't. This is not my answer, but it's just the first thing that popped into my head. I think there are probably many answers to this, but it does help to have somebody to say, all right, we're going to play Beethoven for you right now. Very quickly, you should be aware of this, this, and this. Beethoven, when he wrote this, the Emperor Symphony, give it a little bit of a history, but also why is this revolutionary? And what is this? And, why did this particular symphony of Beethoven change the rules? And you should, and there's just a couple of things to listen to, pay attention to when he does this and when he does this. If somebody has a sort of a signpost, makes the road a little bit more clear, right? And then I'm not talking about a lecture. I'm not talking about a 45-minute lecture. And it's difficult because, how do you explain something as complicated as a Beethoven symphony to a regular listener, a person who has very little musical, education, but loves it. And you have to give, and with, something like Stravinsky, it's even harder, or something with Schoenberg, it's even harder, but you can say, look, just pay, this is going to happen during it. Understand why he's doing it this way or she's doing it this way. And and I think that will focus the person, but also give him or give her something to build upon. And I would, I think that I don't have an answer, but that was the first thing that popped into my mind. And the thing is that people need structure. People need they don't, and it's a very difficult thing. It's sometimes if there's too much structure, it suffocates you. If there's not enough structure, you lose interest, or it's chaos, or it's bullshit, or it's touchy-feely kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, this is the challenge, because again, there's in the audience, a listener very often plays back his or her responsibility, for example, to an orchestra. So, like, it's interesting to see that this is. I mean, this could be a part of the conversation, to see, okay, so how can we? I would respond, but it goes beyond our discussion today, like that this is not automatically our role. Our role is to play, and our role is to, for example, to speak our language. I mean, I can speak only with my hands, not even speaking. Usually, this is my language, gestures. So, as a conductor, so that is a big challenge to learn, or to find a way, new ways how to deal with the. It's absolutely okay that there is this kind of needs, as you explained, for structure, for a certain sign on the road. And at the same time, I believe we want to find new forms that this preparation, for example, can be done without us, before the concert or in between. Because otherwise the music has not the time, not the space to speak for itself. But I mean, this is part of our in the end of our mission, to find together answers, also with our audience, because we don't want to patronize, we don't want to explain the music in a way maybe which is not meant in a way that, for example, Beethoven wanted it to see. So it's a big challenge to use the diversity of different perspectives, different experiences, different needs, in the end, to bring out the best.
Okay, but I hear what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying, but I would also add one more thing, Moritz. I mean, when you're a conductor, you make choices. This is your, as I say, this is your argument. You are taking a position. The reason why you're doing it one way and not the other way, there's a reason. And I guess in a way that sort of contradicts what I was saying before, that music is not an argument, is not a conversation, but it is, because you make these choices. You make these choices. And there's a reason why you make these choices, and there's a reason why you believe these choices are the best. Sorry,
Yeah.
You're imposing your will on the group, but what you're not saying is that this is the last word. What you're not saying is that it's my way or the highway. I mean, with the orchestra, you are. At some point, somebody's got to put their finger down and say, no, we're going to play it this way, and you are that person. Because otherwise, if everybody, I mean, I know your style, at least from Kazakhstan, you allowed for a conversation, but at the end of the day, one person has to say what's good. If you're taking a vote on every damn note among the musicians,
that's the point. That in the end, also the audience has a responsibility, and if they don't take this responsibility, then maybe we didn't inspire them to, we didn't do our job well enough. That the readiness to take responsibility for the role of just listening and creating conditions by listening is done consciously, with understanding, and we work on that, and it's a process, and it's great. I mean, we have to finish here. You have to run.
Let me just finish by saying one thing. This is what not very many conductors most conductors see the music as the argument in itself. You know, you want to know what I think? Listen. All right, great. That's true, and that's what you know, and that's what you can very easily say every time before you take the stage. You know, I believe that Beethoven is this way. This is my argument. You want to see how I think? You got to listen. But the other way you can do is more of like a Leonard Bernstein style. Before you get up there, you say, look, Beethoven was trying to do A, B, C, and D, in my opinion. I'm trying to do A, B, C, and D. Listen, did I? Do you agree? I don't know. Yeah. But this is my argument. The point of an argument, though, isn't telling the other person, screw you, you're wrong, I'm right and you're wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because otherwise that person's never going to agree with you. The other person is just just as easily can say, screw you, I think I'm right and you're wrong. And then what are you?
Exactly.
The only way you're going to be able to, one of you is going to win, unfortunately. Oops, Leanna's calling. Wait, let me send a. The only way that either, and it's a bit of a case of trust, right? You and I are going into conversation. We have an argument. The only way that I'm going to convince you is if we have an open argument. But the problem is, you may also convince me, and that's a risk that I'm taking, right?
Yeah, let's take this note as a to summarize. I mean, the really the many great messages you have shared today. With me, really, it's and with us, and it's respect in listening to different, even if it's very different, very extreme positions. To take out all the possibly prejudgments, even if we speak about huge ideas like the Silk Road, to allow the thought that maybe the other side is talking about something completely different in music. And third, to really take the risk to trust that the other side might convince me of something I didn't expect, and not to take this as a final point, or as a final, like total loss or win, but as a part of a process where we learn from each other, and there is always this moment where suddenly there is recognition that we thought that Beethoven is trying to express this basic human quality, and we learn that maybe it was that there is with the Secret Symphony Orchestra or Jan Moritz Onken, they are expressing a very different idea in relation to an idea like the Silk Road or the idea of the European flag. So to use this open space, also we have, through the Conference of the Birds worldwide, to involve audiences from different parts of the world into this discussion, into this conversation. And when we play, of course, there is very clear that there's, for this moment, we have a position ideally where we involve all the sources of inspiration, ideas of human quality, ideas of basic common values we all would love to share, and we all want to contribute to the development of the other person, to like compose your Silk Road. I mean,